you get more wisdom from experience. Your failures are what you learn from. You have to fail. You got to be failing. It's like in jiu-jitsu. There's no way you're gonna progress if you're not losing, if you're not getting submitted, right? There's no one that makes it to the next belt that doesn't get submitted, and I think that could be a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. But same thing going back to the business. I didn't have anything in place. I just was going based off of love and passion, and I got myself in a pickle. I was introduced to some individuals who they didn't really have the best sort of how do I say this? They didn't really have what was best in mind for me. They had what was best in mind for them,
Hmm.
and I remember, they had this grand illusion of what my business could look like if I put my business in their business. And my sister, who's also an entrepreneur, me and my sister are both entrepreneurs. She has a hair salon in Rye, New York, which is down in Westchester. And
Hmm.
she said, Michael, I'm going to tell you, there's no such thing as a handshake deal. This is business. And I said, oh no, this guy seems like a nice guy. And I wound up getting burned, and they tried keeping. I had nothing on paper, and I had brought all my mats over there. I'd started teaching classes there, and they changed the locks on me. Basically, what it was this guy that I didn't know from a hole in the wall. He wanted my equipment, and when I called the police and everything, they were like, "Listen, this is a civil matter." So it wound up getting hashed out, and the point was is I had to figure out what I was gonna do. Like this is like, man, I'm maybe in business for 1 year at this point, a year and a half tops, and I run into this very critical issue where my business can fail right then, right now. And I remember leaving. I was going to compete at the World Championship. It was 2013 actually. And I remember going to the Worlds, and I realized like I'm on that 6 hour flight. It's out in California, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. Like I have to work around this. And we get to the hotel, and I sit there, and the hotels, they have the little desk in the room, they got the Hilton pad, they have a pen and paper. And I just remember sitting there and starting to do all the math. I'm like, if I have 80 students at $100 a month, I'm talking basics, right? I can make this much money a year, which means I can afford my own storefront, which means I can start. And that is when I wrote a business plan. So I wrote a business plan for myself a year and a half into owning a business, and almost failing. I left that facility. I had this 2 weeks of limbo where I was teaching classes at individuals' houses. I lost probably like, man, half of my student body at that time. So let's say I had 25
Wow.
students back then. I had gone down to like almost 10 students. It's an inconvenience for people. They're paying for business. They want good service. It's like they don't want to
Hmm.
do classes in somebody's basement. And it was a make or break time. And like I said, like there's going to be times where the deck stacked against you. You got to cut your losses. And the long-winded answer of your question is I did not have a business plan in place. I was forced to create one through a tough time, and I'm glad that I did. It was never too late, so it worked out well.
Amen. I tell you, I'm actually glad you went through that too. While, as a friend, you don't want to hear your friend go through a difficult time, but the reality is that's what really helped make you who you are today and make your business as strong as it is. And I would argue that you getting started because of the love and because of the passion for it is the reason you stuck that out. Whereas somebody who gets into a business just because they've got this pretty business plan, they've got everything figured out, or so they think, and it's just about the money, something like that happens, they're walking away, right? So they wouldn't have the longevity you do. They wouldn't have the growth that you've had, and you had to work through that adversity. As Ryan Holiday's book says, the obstacle is the way.
Yes.
You saw that obstacle. You found and made a way through it because you knew in your heart that's what you had to do, and I think that's really admirable. So what I'd like to ask then, this is actually jumping ahead to a question I thought would get to a little bit later. Based on that information, I want this information to get out to an audience that is looking to do a similar thing, is looking for some growth. Maybe they're younger, they're in high school or college, and they're trying to go with their gut, go with their intuition, and go against the grain, go against the norm. Or maybe it's somebody who is 35, 40 or older who's finally recognizing that, man, I've banged my head against the wall for far too long now. I am miserable and I'm done being miserable. I want to make a change. So to those people that are listening, whatever their passion may be, what would you advise them to do? Where would you advise them to get started in whatever path and passion it may be for them?
I would say the advice that I would offer would be to make a plan. You know, try to figure out what exactly your goals are, where you want to be, and where you want to see yourself in 5 years. I'm a huge believer in like planning for 5 year uh, intervals, if you will.
Yep.
And when I first started my academy, I did what's called a vision map, and I still have this vision map to this day. Actually, it's in my Beacon Academy, and I got a poster board. I got a whole bunch of magazines, and I just cut out all these, all these different pictures and these different words, and like I put a picture of a jiu-jitsu school that had like maybe 40 people on it, and at the time I had maybe 4 students. I put a picture of I took someone that had won the world championship, and they were holding their medal, and I cut their head off the picture and I put my head on there, right? Like I really, really believe in the vision, and you have to have a vision, and sometimes that vision requires, not sometimes, most of the time the vision requires having your goals, and having how you're going to get to your goals, having your short-term goals that are going to add up to get to your long-term goals, and having a visualization process like a poster board.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I could personally benefit from that myself. I've had my goals. I go a little shorter and then branch it out to a little longer. So I like to focus on a 30, 60, 90-day goal, and then out a little bit further, a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. But I love that concept of the board and really putting yourself and visualizing yourself at that level. That's absolutely brilliant. But it's interesting. It brings together two different things. If you follow any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, some people like this, it's a lot of that positivity, the mindset, the visualization and manifestation. And some people look at that type of stuff and call it kind of woo-woo, right? They don't believe that that's what it is. I think there's a balance of that type of stuff, plus more of the stoicism in that you have to do the work, right? You can't just want it and visualize it and have this pretty board of it. You have to then go out and do the work as well to really create that. And I believe that's exactly what you've done.
I got joy in the sadness, joy in the pain. Nothing keeps me down when I